Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Well, what a busy day. What a busy night last night. Isn't it all going horribly tits up for Omid Scobie? And by, what's the phrase? By the by, Meghan and Harry as well. Because apparently Omid has given an interview this morning where he says he's met Meghan quite a few times, but it's not Harry and Meghan who've been spoon-feeding him information. Nose growing, in my belief. Anyway, let's go along with that. Instead, he says he knows a lot of people who are close to Meghan and Harry, and that's where he gets his information from. Well, that's Meghan and Harry, isn't it? They might as well have just said it all outright in their Netflix docuseries. It's not even worth pretending. If he's getting information from people that are currently very friendly and very close to them, those people must be authorised. Otherwise, they would suddenly become out of the loop of trust. Because believe me, if I was in a subject of the newspapers and someone wrote some shitty book about some people that I really want to borrow money from or be bailed out by or make friends with or get an invite to Christmas, for sure I would, as Tessa Dunlop, Dr. Tessa Dunlop, historian and columnist for the Guardian newspaper, said, flick him like a piece of slime. Oh, I loved hearing those words coming out of Tessa's mouth while she was chatting to Piers Morgan. Oh, dearie me, they are losing support from their support camp. So, presumably if Meghan had confidential letters between her and King Charles, it's not Charles who's been telling Omid Scobie all about the letters, it's Meghan and presumably Harry have told close friends who've then told Omid Scobie. Which is, what's the difference between that and direct? What's the difference? So much to talk about. Where do we start? Let's start with Tessa Dunlop. Tessa Dunlop, who has been a cheerleader in chief for the Sussexes. I hasten to add, I've never heard Tessa be nasty. She irritates me in the way that she has naively supported Harry and Meghan in their cause. And I mean, she has fought tooth and nail. And this is the first time I've seen Tessa sit back and say, enough is enough, this is getting ridiculous. But she didn't turn on Meghan and Harry, she turned on Omid Scobie, and she is urging Harry and Meghan to flick him like a piece of slime, that they need to come out and officially condemn Omid. Now let's get this straight, because there are some people, Sussex Squad, sugars on X, who don't understand how the structure of our British press works. They just think, maybe they're American, maybe they're from other countries, maybe they're British and they just don't know, they don't read newspapers very often and they don't study it, and that's fair enough. It's a thing of mine, it's not necessarily everybody's thing. So for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know about the British press, we have a couple of newspapers who really want rid of the monarchy. Those two particular newspapers have been enormous cheerleaders for Meghan and Harry and all the shit stirring because they want rid of the monarchy. They're both left-leaning. I also hasten to add that does not necessarily mean that all left-leaning people are anti-monarchists. I am left-leaning and I am a monarchist, right? So it doesn't follow that these two particular newspapers, historically, it's been their agenda. One of them is the Guardian newspaper, left-leaning, and they have always written favourable pieces for Harry and Meghan, sticking up for them. Tessa Dunlop, the historian, is a columnist, or has been a columnist for the Guardian in the past, and she now is saying to them, distance yourself from Omid, or there's going to come a point in the near future I can see Tessa saying, excuse my French, fuck them, enough. More interestingly, a couple of publications reviewed Omid's book in advance. One was the New York Times, I'm not familiar with, but apparently they are also cheerleaders, obviously American newspaper. But I saw Sugars saying that it wasn't surprising that the review from the Independent newspaper was bad because all British press hate Meghan and Harry. Oh dear, no, no, no. Google Meghan and Harry, the Independent, and you will see arslicky, arslicky, arslicky. We love Meghan and Harry all the way through. In fact, cut them in half. They've got Meghan and Harry running through them like a stick of rock. And they gave Omid's book a terrible, scathing review. This is their base support camp. I've made a list because there's quite a lot to go through. So Tessa Dunlop, yeah, that was bad. She was with Piers Morgan on Piers Morgan's, I can't remember what it's called. And there was another lady on the same Piers Morgan thing called Hilary Fordich. Now, Hilary is the first person in the mainstream media that I've really heard push and say, if Omid is getting information from people who are close to the Sussexes and friends with the Sussexes, what about Marcus Anderson? And she really pushed this point. Interestingly, Piers didn't pick up on that. Now, I don't know why. I suspect it's because Marcus is a future story that they're not ready to make a feeding frenzy on just yet. To me, for someone like Piers, he just blanked her. He just moved on to the next subject. He didn't want to talk about Marcus Anderson. Isn't that interesting? But how many years have Murky Meg, Taz and Wally been pointing out this strange friendship of Marcus, the fairy godbrother, who seems to be able to arrange all sorts of things for Meghan, including meeting Prince Harry. So let me tick Tessa off the list and Hilary off the list. Oh, and the reviews of the New York Times and the Independent. I want to talk about Susanna Reid now. Another one who irritates the hell out of me because no matter what, she always defends Meghan and Harry. Now, only a week ago, when they were saying, should the king invite them to Sandringham for Christmas or not, Susanna was there like a lone wolf as usual saying, oh yes, Christmas is a time of forgiveness, forgive and forget, families being together. They'll never betray the king and the royal family again. They want peace. Well, doesn't she look a fool this week with Endgame coming out, with information about letters between Meghan and the king and all the spitefulness and bitterness? Well, I saw Susanna trying desperately to stick up for Meghan and Harry, but not really. But she was doing her best, and she's given it her all for 3 years sticking up for these people. But I see, interestingly, the Daily Express are picking up on a couple of things. Now, I've never been a particular fan of the Express because their articles are quite short. I've got to read the first 4 paragraphs for them to tell me the bleeding obvious, like Harry was born to Diana and Charles, who's a younger brother. Blah, blah, blah. I know all that shit. I don't want to scroll through your crappy website to be told all that he married Meghan, that they left the royal family. We all know that. Get to the chase. And also, apart from the Mirror website is the worst web. Not talking about their content, their actual structure of their website is appalling. It's so bad I very rarely go on it, and when I do, I'll only read the first couple of paragraphs and think, Fiona, why did you go on it again? Get rid of it. It just reloads, adverts. Do you want to continue reading? Skip, jump, skip. Oh, going to something I didn't ask for. That's my gripe about websites. But the Express are picking up on something now I do find really amusing, because apart from the fact the shit is hitting the fan left, right and centre, Omid's not getting the reaction or the support for Endgame, Meghan and Harry must be wholly crapping themselves in the background, the Express are beginning to highlight the Sussex squad, who a lot of us refer to as the Sugars. I also hasten to add there are Meghan supporters out there who don't issue death threats or rejoice and delight in the fact that people have cancer and wish death and misery upon them. There are genuinely nice people out there, not very many because a lot of them have woken up, but there are 1 or 2 out there still who are Sussex squad, who are quite genuinely nice, but I haven't come across many of them. Now, the Express are talking about how Omid uses the Sussex Squad to promote his book. And it's a very interesting article. I'll put a link in the description. Read it for yourselves. To me, this is the press, the British press. Who are these sugars? Now, that brings me back to Susanna. Because, again, the Express did another article where they said that viewers were turning off because of Susanna Reid and Richard Madeley. And one of they quote like people on X, and one of them, I think they said was a chief Sussex Squad, had sort of said, how dare Susanna Reid not stick up for Meghan enough? So Susanna, you naughty girl, you've done nothing but stick up for Meghan for 3 years, and Harry, but that's not good enough for the sugars. That's not good enough. They're coming for you, Susanna, even though you're on Meghan and Harry's side, one of their last friends, one of their last supporters. Don't you worry, those Sussex Squad are going to come after you. They'll come after your family. Believe me, they will issue death threats because that's what they do. Oh, just go to my X account, read the top death threat, then go through a few of the comments and just see for yourself. It's all there like an Audrey's chocolate shop display window for all the world to see. And I do believe that the world will be looking. I do believe that the press feel this is the biggest story of all. Because this is something that I've wondered for the last 3 years. Who are the Sussex Squad? Who's paying them? Are there any bots or troll farms in there? Why does Omid Scobie celebrate them in his book Finding Freedom? Why do we see Harry and Meghan kissing up to members of the Sussex Squad when they go to events? Because if the national press have found a connection, an actual connection, a solid one, the headlines are going to be very, very, very bad for Meghan and Harry. It will be like, I don't even like to say the kind of headlines. So bad that, it would be like, you don't see me walking around in a I Love Jimmy Savile t-shirt, and a lot of the people who got the Jim Fixed It For Me badges, put them in the bin. It's going to be like bad, 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 bad. Not that I'm suggesting for a moment that Meghan or Harry are monsters like Savile, but there are certain stories that hit the newspaper where you're just like, oh my God, my name is pure mud, pure mud. I can't go out in public. I cannot go out in public. It's that bad. Because the behaviour of the sugars is so bad. So yeah, sugars, attack Susanna Reid, attack Tessa Dunlop, attack all the last core supporters. Oh, I wonder what William Morris and Dever think about all this. Oh, and Hilary Fordich also brought up the point that it speaks volumes that Harry and Meghan don't get invited to any proper red carpet events. They get invited to these plastic weird things that nobody's ever heard of. That A-listers are not wanting to be with them, that she is not able to get work. She's reinventing herself for the 837th, 467th time because she's reinventing herself, and nobody's buying it because she seems to come with an awful lot of trouble. I, for one, would love to see them renounce Omid Scobie. They'd have to do it official and a proper condemnation of the book Endgame. But I don't believe they will, because I believe there is a possibility that he knows a lot of other things. So they're in a bit of a sticky wicket. That's my belief and my personal opinion. So do they condemn Omid publicly to please King Charles so they can get back in with the royal family because things are going tits up? Or, we better not do that because there might be dirt come out, we don't want people to know. Or shall we just not condemn Omid and have the wrath of the royal family? Now, when I said yesterday that I believe they've woken a sleeping bear in William, I can see 1 or 2 of your comments in studio. I can see the latest 3, but that's it. And then I'll have to wait an hour to see the next latest 3. And I did see one person say that William should just sort of carry on, keep calm, no comment. And I absolutely agree with that on the surface of things. But let's not forget, this is the guy who kind of instigated the Levinson, end of the news of the world. Lots of people had been complaining about the British press. Lots of people had suspected things like phone hacking and illegal practices before that. But no one was powerful enough to the oomph to get it going. As soon as they pissed William off, oh, the ball got rolling. Now, that brings me to MI5, MI6 and GCHQ. Who do you think they work for? I know we all say it's a soft monarchy. Yeah, it is. Until it comes to something to do with them personally. Who do you think has got a hotline to them? Who do you think can get access to all kinds of information? Oh yeah, but so this is why I kind of love sitting back. The sugars are losing their shit all over X because of Omid's bad reviews and the fact that Omid is getting savaged by, I don't know, literally everyone. I'm not hearing anybody sticking up for him, not even people on his own team. This book is a disaster. This is the complete end game, not only for Omid, but I believe for Meghan and Harry. Oh, what interesting times we live in. Now, as I've said before, I don't want to sound too gleeful, but I do still remember what they did to Yankee Wally, and I've seen what they've done to lots of other people. The doxing of Sue Smith, those horrible reports that Christopher Boozy created. Oh, Christopher Boozy, there's one they can't distance themselves from, isn't there? Didn't he star in their Netflix docuseries of which they had full editorial control? Yes, I do believe he did. All these worlds are coming in and colliding, and we're still not quite in December, the month of Christmas. So let's all keep watching. I'm fascinated watching it from a PR point of view. This is a PR nightmare. It's a disaster. I don't even think damage limitation is going to work, such as pathetic puff pieces that People magazine released last night about how we should all be celebrating, get this, celebrating that it's been 6 years since Harry and Meghan's love story began. They're so in love. We need to celebrate that union. Nice try at taking everybody's mind off Omid's shit bomb book. Don't think it's going to work. As always, thank you all very much for listening, and I look forward to telepathically reading your comments below until I get outside of this ring of steel.